une jolie fille d'un lion. Il y a une jolie fille, elle est jolie, parfaite en beauté, qu'elle a charmé. Elle a charmé le cœur d'un grenadier. Bon grenadier, amène-moi dans ta chambre. Bon grenadier, amène-moi dans ta chambre. Oui, dans ma chambre, je t'emmènerai et je te donnerai. Et je te donnerai le cœur d'un grenadier. Et l'autre amant qui est à la porte qui écoute. Et l'autre amant qui est à la porte qui écoute. Croisant ses bras, jetant la vue au ciel, se dit grand Dieu. Se dit grand Dieu que je suis malheureux. D'avoir aimé une aussi jolie fille, et à présent il faut l'abandonner. Oh oui, grand Dieu, grand Dieu. Oh oui, grand Dieu, que je suis malheureux. Pas ta chagrin, pas ta mélancolie, pas ta chagrin, pas ta mélancolie, pas ta plus loin, ne reviens plus à moi, puisque mon cœur, puisque mon cœur, puisque mon cœur, puisque mon cœur, il ne veut plus de toi.
The nation is under siege. The nation is under siege.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to YouTube's most interesting yet underperforming show. And that is, well, it's not underperforming. Maybe our numbers are underperforming, but this is Divided We Stand on YouTube and on Facebook. So if you are unfamiliar with our page, please go there. And all we ask is that you become a member on our Facebook page. It's very, very popular. It is performing quite well. And our YouTube channel, which needs a little bit of help. So if you think of it and you enjoy the show to any degree, please subscribe. And don't even leave it there, because we are at an important point of our American history. So we hope that you'll share this and ask others to get involved too, because it's time for you. Yes, I mean you. If you can see me, it means you. You have to do something, because we are at the inflection point, and that is the title of our show tonight. Well, it's Sunday. It's the 16th of March, and we're going to be moving into spring soon, which means we're going to be moving into summer really soon, because our springs only last about 2 days these days. But what am I to know about climate change? In any case, let's introduce our co-host tonight. From Washington, D.C. I was going to say the state, but we can't say that. From Washington. No, he's not even from Washington, D.C. He's from the great state of Virginia, Arlington, Virginia. He was in Tuscaloosa, whatever the fuck it is. They had some tornadoes yesterday, I think. Alabama, that's Dave. And Dave, no coincidence, you left and the tornadoes were gone. Or coming.
Does happen.
No, they weren't there when you were there, but they came right after you left.
Well, yeah, I suppose indirectly. I have nothing to do with weather. I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Okay,
anyway.
well, that's good. Okay, and then we also have Ryan Velez out of Louisville, Kentucky. So we have two red states here. We have Kentucky, which is definitely a red state, and Virginia, which technically is a red. No, I guess it. Did Biden win Virginia? No, he didn't. Did he? He did.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a blue state, and definitely blue state here. But I'm in a red area.
It's a purple state.
But who won? Was it Virginia? Did Biden? I mean,
Yeah.
did Harris win Virginia?
No, Biden won, even though he wasn't running.
Okay. Anyway, we've got a lot of work to do tonight, folks, because, as I said, we're at the inflection point. And I guess that's what I want to start off with. Gentlemen, why do you believe that we are at an inflection point? Or do you disagree with me? Take it away, both of you, just not at once.
I don't think democracy in this country has ever been this threatened. So certainly an inflection point based on that. I think that if people are not, like I saw a video today. It said all the caption said was, "This is what we need in order to affect change in the United States," and it showed Serbian protests, and there were millions of people in the streets, like in one location, not like all throughout the country, but literally one location. And that's what we need. We need millions of people in the streets.
I got some nice comments here. All right, so we'll switch to our David.
Well, certainly Ryan is 100% correct. We need people in the streets. But, we're not there yet. And We don't really have the leadership yet, but every day I get more encouraged about the fight. But you got to remember, I'm not that concerned about winning it, because it'll be an upset if we win. But we have to put up the resistance. We have to do the things that we can do. Now, this weekend alone in Washington, D.C., there were 3 separate protests. And there's 3 planned for next week. Numbers are not like I saw one, Ryan. Where I think it was in Budapest, maybe in Hungary, and it was just wall to wall people. It looked like the Mardi Gras and New Year's Eve in New York City put together. Now, yeah, but see, I'm going to urge, or I guess as the oldest person on the show. You have to really look at it at a historical perspective. It took 9 years, basically, to stop the Vietnam War. It took 30 years, maybe more, maybe 200 plus years, to even get where we were on civil rights. So, this is not going to happen tomorrow. But I like the fact of the way that they, meaning the Trump and his people, are reacting. They're going overboard. When you think of a president of the United States hawking a car at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Now, why is he doing that? Because Musk is getting hit really hard. There are protests everywhere, and it doesn't have to be a lot. There, okay? 20, 30 people. Some people are going to have to make a decision pretty quickly because there's been some vandalism and that type of thing. Is that something you're going to be able to accept? Because it's going to happen. And my advice would be, if you didn't do it and somebody else did it, but it's against Trump, it's okay. Nobody's forcing you to do it. And I don't think this is the time to say, well, that's wrong. Any action against, of course, not murder or anything like that, but any action against Trump, Musk, Vance, and I'll talk just a minute about Vance. Great. I don't know if you saw the video. He and his wife showed up for a concert at the Kennedy Center. And of course, as you can imagine here, that is just something that's going crazy because Trump, these things are loose tonight. All right, there we are. Now we're better. Has put himself in charge of the Kennedy Center. The man has never set foot in the Kennedy Center, ever, as president, as candidate, as whatever. And of course, he gave this, a bogus story of why he was doing it. He's going to clean it up. But when they showed up, I believe it's a half hour late into the show, and as soon as they were spotted, spontaneous booing that went on for at least 30 seconds.
Good.
Never has happened in the history of the Kennedy Center. Never, even with bad shows. So I don't want to use a cliche, but Brian kind of said, or at least that's how I heard him, this is very, very serious. It is real, but we just have to figure out, each of us every day in some way, what can I do today to make Donald Trump's life miserable? And sometimes we'll do it together, sometimes it's not. Back to you, Brian. In your district, you had a rally against Jeff Van Drew.
Right, and I was going to go to that one, but the problem with that one was, remember the last one I went to, Mays Landing, it was outside, and there was a lot of press coverage for that one. But this one, he's not showing up. It's not like we could have a town hall and get involved. There's going to be nobody there. So in the end, I decided not to go to that one. I mean, I don't have any problem going to that. I've done 2 of them already against Van Drew. But again, there'd be more coordination.
And you know what, guys, and this took me a while to understand this, but while it's nice to have all the numbers, you don't really need the numbers anymore because every local place will cover their own. Right. And everybody's getting their videos and putting them on there. And pains me to say it a little bit, being a former journalist, but the day of big media is over anyway. So, Washington, D.C. protests, quite honestly, unless you're going to get the Million Man March, is no more or less important than anywhere else in the United States. So very small things can still be beneficial.
All right, there's another point I wanted to make. It's kind of going off into a diversion here, but I saw a wonderful, wonderful video. It's posted on Divided We Stand, ladies and gentlemen, from Vlad Vexler. Vlad Vexler was born in the Soviet Union. He's a professor of philosophy, and he lives in Great Britain. And he went through this video discussing how many psychiatrists believe that Trump definitely is a narcissist and probably has ADHD. And he says that combination is really bad. But he stressed that we have to not think of narcissism as simply somebody who enjoys, looking at him or herself in the mirror, but that it's an actual personality disorder, and it has to be fed from two angles. One, where he gets the praise, or the other, where he gets a group that hates him and he gets to react in kind of a positive way because it's that negative. It still has his name coming up.
It's called narcissistic supply. That's
okay. And so I guess what I would like you guys to comment on, if in fact this man, and I believe it to be true, and I'm not a psychologist, so I can't really tell you, but if it's true that he does have this personality disorder, and it certainly looks like it, and then you have the sycophants who probably know that he has this, and they keep feeding it, just like Vance did at the Zelensky meeting. Where do we go with something like this? If you have a man with an actual personality disorder, an extreme personality disorder, and at the same time, we're trying to come about it from, well, how do we battle him in the Senate and the Congress and the courts? At some point, do we go a different track and perhaps try to nail him in his own narcissism? Like, somehow, what is the antidote to narcissism?
Well, I know the main antidote to narcissism on a level of like you having to deal with someone else who have narcissism is cut them out of your life. That's the main thing. The problem is you can't cut the president of the United States out of your life.
Right.
And so Republicans know that, and they're definitely aware of his narcissism. I mean, they definitely have people who can tell them, hey, this guy's got a problem. And what they have tried to do, which I don't think works, is they've tried to kind of like steer and point Trump in the direction that they think will be good for them. But that's not working because you can't steer a narcissist like a boat. So that's what I feel like they've tried to do. And truthfully, I think the best thing that can happen, I mean, think about when Trump gets angry. He gets angry when the news doesn't cover him. He gets angry when people stand up to him. He gets angry when his ideas don't work and then he has to lie about it. Like, I think actually what we are doing does stand up to him. He gets angry when judges, put a check on his power. Like, it's checks and balances. He doesn't want checks and balances. He's destroying every type of checks and balance that there is because he doesn't want that. So we are standing up to the narcissist and rejecting him. And I think that what we are doing is the correct way to go. It's just you can't ignore the president of the United States. And that's the biggest thing. So our biggest way to deal with a narcissist is taken from us because he has, elected power. I think they cheated in the election. And in fact, there's more out on that. But yeah, so I think that's the problem is he has power that we can't ignore. And so that's why ignoring him is not really worth it.
Dave?
Pressure. Just put pressure on him. He does not react well to pressure.
That's true.
Okay? He does not. And he would be better off just being quiet. And he can't do that. Okay? And so every day I see a few more people saying, maybe I shouldn't have voted for him. Well, we could have told you that. But the point is, and we're going to get some images. I don't know if you had to see it, the 80-year-old veteran who chained himself to the White House gate.
Yep.
So that becomes okay. We still are a visual culture. Now it's not yet, but we're going to get something. It'll be like, and nobody take this up. Nobody do it. I never really. I mean, it's a very courageous act. But the monks who set themselves on fire during Vietnam. Remember the little girl running down, screaming from the napalm that had hit her. We're going to get some of those. And when they do, it's pretty hard to say, man, that 80-year-old veteran, what the hell's he doing? I mean, that it's challenging. They're not there yet, but it's challenging Trump's people. And they fall into three categories. It's not troubling the billionaires. They don't care. Musk doesn't care. I mean, he doesn't care. Bezos doesn't care. Zuckerberg doesn't care. Love it. I mean, guys, put all the boycotts you want. That's fine. But they're going to survive and they're going to go on. But the other two groups, the Republicans are already, if you notice, they're not being as gung-ho about Donald Trump right now, the elected.
Because I'm going to ask you, Dave, what do you think?
They got their finger up. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, because you mentioned here, like, what they think. And I was just thinking how Lutnick, who's the guy who was negotiating with the Canadians, all of a sudden, one day he's, imposing a tariff, and he's going back. I'm just wondering what Lutnick, these Republicans are doing, because it seems like they're trying to clean up the milk.
Well, they're having phone calls. You say, "What the fuck are we going to do about this idiot?" That's what they're doing.
So what do they say? I mean, can you imagine a scenario of him meeting with
There's
Doug
nothing.
Ford?
No, the only way you stop Trump, in essence, is impeach him, right? And that's not going to happen. So they're trying to, But I think it's even surprised them. I think. I mean, think about it. What on the tariffs? 6 different changes.
Right.
They're good, nonstop. They're bad, they're on, they're up. What?
It's just nonstop.
But you're that's good. That's good. Because what today? Are there any tariffs in place today?
No. Well, I think China will have it.
China still has them.
Yeah. No, I mean, but here, and even I don't care how strong a Trumper you are, you have to say, I don't know. He's doing. Why can't he make up his mind? People don't like uncertainty.
But knowing that he's waffling, again, if he sends Lutnick, and again, I don't know anything about Lutnick, he's doing all the bargaining. But, here you have Doug Ford, who came right back against Trump. But then all of a sudden, Canada's holding off too. So I'm speculating here. I'm just imagining Lutnick say, look, this is just bullshit here. We got to work together on this. We're going to be okay. Just do this and we'll do that. And I promise you, that kind of thing. But if I were Doug Ford, I'd say, fuck you. Publicly state this. If you want this, we're going to shut down your electricity.
He will.
And I'm just surprised at Doug Ford.
No,
he was pro-MAGA. He was pro-Trump, actually, before
that worked. I remember Kevin was mentioning about a year ago something about that.
Yeah,
that we're getting some.
So, I mean, the fact that he backed off doesn't surprise me, but yeah, I think that's a big part of why he backed off.
But you got people, and some people are going to back off. Is Canada that important? I mean, Greenland says you're not coming in. We're not letting you come in. That's pretty cool. Little Greenland stood up and just said, "Go away." The president of Mexico is doing an outstanding job.
Right, but I'm saying Canada should. I mean, they can get their goods elsewhere.
But Brian,
they can help you and me and Brian.
Well, they will, but you can't have it all at once. It's got to be phased in. Trump is so damn erratic. Okay, you don't know what he's going to do from moment to moment.
I mean, really, when you say it, he is erratic, meaning he's also sick. He's a sick man, so we can't even know how he's going to react. This is the bizarreness of the situation.
Now, again, those of us in opposition.
Here we have a Canadian reply here.
Yeah, right.
Thank you, Reg.
So, again, my point is you put pressure on constantly and consistently. That is why Senator Schumer, for the good of America, you should leave your post.
Hey, right, he pulled every leverage that he had. All he had to do was say, give in or we're not going to sign this thing. So you're giving him the Republicans the option, give us something, and he didn't do it.
And the question becomes why. And again, we're left to speculate. There's quite a bit of speculation here that Israel got no money taken out of, there was no reduction of Israel. And Schumer is a big proponent of Israel. Okay.
But there are
I don't
others
think
that also were not big proponents of it, aside from Fetterman, that did vote with the Republicans, and they were Democrats.
What they will say, and I can see some logic
Maybe
behind
their
it. I wouldn't
constituents,
do
it's
it.
a purple state or something. I don't know.
Well, what if you kind of got to what some of the reasoning was? It was, if we shut it down, there's
They'll
no
blame us.
protection for the workers.
Okay.
They didn't, and they, well, what
Which
protection
workers
is
are you
there
talking
now?
about? The federal workers?
Yeah, I mean,
Because
what
they've gotten rid of
protection is
half
there
of them
now?
anyway. I don't know what's the
There
big deal.
you are. That's my point. They're still playing under logic rules, and again, he just had a birthday, so I'll shout out to him. When I was teaching at Bridgeton, I ended up football coaching with Don Reich, and Don Reich was a very successful coach, but boy, was he a weirdo. And some of us came up with the saying.
Oh, by the way, we just got a call from Don Reich. He's on the show tonight.
Very, very good. Now, he couldn't figure out how to turn on the computer.
He just says, F you. No, just kidding.
That'd be fine. Don was a good guy, but he just got perturbed and got out. So we had a saying, we called it Reichian logic, which was no sense makes sense. And that's where Donald Trump, that's the only way to look at him. Since you're not dealing with someone. You brought it up before, Brian, a little bit. I would be interested to know, and if either of you guys or anyone on the show can do this, we really need to know. It would help. Let me rephrase that. It would be helpful to know, is he in the stages of dementia? Is he just really as stupid as he appears? Is he, is it dyslexia? He can't read? Is it attention deficit? Because all of those, again, would give you an avenue in.
And how does a guy, let's suppose any one of those is true, or all of them, or some combination. How is it this guy survives through all this shit his whole life?
Money.
I mean, literally, if the narcissist, as Wexler said, the narcissist has no sense of self other than what helps me fill that void.
Find me in New York City a billionaire with morals.
Well, find a billionaire with morals in general. I don't think they exist.
No, I disagree. I don't think that people become evil simply because they become billionaires. I think there are people who are good people, and there are people who are bad people, and the crooks. Because most business people, to me, are crooks. It's just that the ones who are decent have to fight against the ones who are crooks constantly, and that makes it difficult. So there may be some good billionaires, like Soros.
I'm talking about.
I'm not even sure Soros is good.
Well, he's better than Musk. I'll say that much.
AOC had a great quote the other day. She says, "You don't make $1 billion, you take $1 billion." I agree.
No, I understand that, but like I said, it's my opinion
let's look at
that you don't
right
just you're
now,
not just evil because you got the money. If I became a billionaire, I don't think it would be anything different.
Think about it. Right now, I feel relatively safe in saying this. The most popular person today is Donald Trump, but that popularity isn't where it was when he was sworn in, okay?
In terms of what, poll voting, things like that?
Don't forget about polls. I'm just talking about right now, he's there. Okay?
But his name is out there more than ever, and that's a problem.
I understand that. But who I'm going to put second is a pair. AOC and Bernie Sanders. Mm-hmm. Because they're doing something.
They're doing something, yes.
They're awesome.
They're doing it the right way. Look, you can't attack everybody everywhere. I think the main problem in America is that we created the circumstances that allowed Donald Trump to win. Now, he is an excellent con man. He is. He's conned his way through his whole life. To get to that
and
point.
Social media is set up for this atomized society, too.
But that's what I'm saying. We set that up. Yeah.
Well, it was going to happen anyway across the world. That was going to happen, the atomization of the world.
But not necessarily the way it happened here. I mean, you got Goldwater. No, let me back it up. Really, the opposition started with FDR, right? Same thing we're talking about now, rich versus poor.
Okay.
Depression. Then you move to Goldwater, where he realized we're kind of down on numbers, so let's get the John Birchers. Let's get the KKK.
Oh, God, yeah.
And they did. Then you move on to Reagan, the great communicator. And I suppose you could make an argument Reagan was more damage to the country than Trump.
Well, he started it, that's for sure. If he had maybe you've got a lot different.
Then you got Newt Gingrich coming in and the Tea Party. And then you've got Clinton, who had to get the blowjob
Right.
in the White House. And then you move on, and then you get Donald Trump. So Donald Trump had all that behind him, but he also had he also had this idea of reality TV. And Americans, it's worse than watching the political reading the political shit I do. I get the People thing to see what people are talking about in People magazine. It's horrendous. I mean, we make celebrities out of the Kardashians. And the big one now, I don't know if you've been following it, a YouTube influencer had sex with 1,000 men in one day.
Oh, wow.
What?
Okay. You heard
me. Is a female or a male influencer?
She's a female influencer who had sex with 1,000 men.
You have sex with 1,000 people in one day, so I'm pretty sure it's a female.
Yeah, I don't know if I could do that in my lifetime. No, but the point is, and she is being vilified in some places, but no, she's an influencer. We have made the cult of personality and celebrities way out of line. Now, what's interesting to me, anyways, is the Democrats still kind of rely on that. Like they thought Taylor Swift maybe. And Taylor Swift is a very, as celebrities go, she's a very good person, and she did. But the people that are really attracted to celebrities now are the Republican Trumpers. They're looking for their Joe Rogans. They're looking for their Donald Trumps, and they get it. And so if we didn't have reality TV, you wouldn't have had The Apprentice. If you didn't have The Apprentice, you wouldn't have had Donald Trump. Now, I don't know if you noticed, Mr. Bezos, and I'm going to on record, Jeff, give me a call because I'm going to charge you tonight with this. You should never have divorced Mackenzie because I believe Mackenzie is the only thing that kept you from being a complete and utter horror show. That's my tweet. If you're different, give me a call. We're right here because Mackenzie's a hell of a good person. She was smart enough to leave him. But the point is, excuse me, Bezos now, I don't know if you saw, running Amazon, of course. Well, he says he's not, but he is. They're now bringing back every episode of The Apprentice to run it again. Now,
is there anyone here? I've never watched it. Have any of you here seen The Apprentice? Good.
I mean, I've heard it. No.
Okay.
It was basically, and the people who worked on the show, the people working on that show have come out almost en masse and have said, Donald Trump didn't know what the hell he was doing. We had to make him a character. He didn't know. And, and he did give the impression, okay? People, when you're in the cult of personality like we are, they see his name, and many have referred to it. They see his name on all these buildings, not realizing that all of them are going to be foreclosed on. Every casino's gone that he touched. But they just see this Trump. And, and we want a businessman. And he's riding this wave. Now, what we have to do, and gets back to what Ryan said earlier, is just put the pressure on that we can, because he can't handle any of that.
Well, what kind of pressure do you think would make him get extremely angry? Is it the protests in the streets?
Everything.
It's just
everything.
Everything.
Well, no. Here, I hate to say this, but I'm going to say it. What will happen with the protests in the streets? Some people are going to get killed.
Well,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's the moment when we'll see what America is made of. Then we
have
really
another
will see.
May 4th,
Kent State. And, but even there, I still have to point this out all the time because it's an unknown kind of a fact. To show that America is still America back then, 2 days later, there was a similar situation at Jackson State, an all-black school in the South. 2 were killed and never a mention of it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Jim Rhodes never paid for that, though. I'll say that much.
No, but I'll tell you what, that helped.
It did help, yes.
Solidify. All of a sudden, it was pretty hard to say, they killed.
But has
kids.
America changed? No, let's say we haven't changed, but has the Republican changed enough that they're saying, I like what Kyle Rittenhouse did, and know that they did.
But you know why they like it? Because they still have enough money to go out and buy 17 guns. If this economy,
they want to kill us, though.
Brian, yeah, okay. You want to go? You got 2.
What I'm saying is I don't know that they'll have that reaction that they had at Kent State with us because it's to change society.
I don't. I don't think it matters. You're looking at that third of America who hasn't, decided yet, and we have a third out there who have not decided with a vote. And
Okay.
Ryan said, and I hope he talks to it. So there are some real questions now about the validity of this election involving some really, and I hesitate to say that because I just don't want to be a conspiracy guy, but there's some real numbers that are just.
The group is called the Election Truth Alliance. That's their website as well, electiontruthalliance.org or com. I think it's .org. And they've been raising money and asking for donations. I gave them some money. I think I gave them $100 or $150. It was $150. So I gave them some money. That's the only group that I have given money because I feel like I watched they have a 41-minute video and there's a 9-minute summary video that shows why they believe that there was impropriety in the election. Specifically, they are concerned about the vote counting machines, not the voting machines. That's a big difference. A lot of people online get that wrong.
Right. Okay.
But the new thing that came out like a day or two ago was on their website, they have now produced the data for Pennsylvania, and it also looks very suspicious.
So again, we're going to be looking at the counting machines, not the voting machines. We can say that those are fine.
Yeah, what they're basically doing is there's public data, and then there is, this statistical analysis of the public data. And the public data suggests instead of a bell curve, which is what you would expect to see in pretty much any data set, you're seeing it goes like this, and then at the very end it kind of goes up, and it's called a Russian tail. I don't know if they made that term up or if that's
no pun intended, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure where that term came from, but they call it a Russian tail, and because
why hasn't this come up more than what we've heard? I mean, I'm not playing devil's advocate, but
I've seen it all over Reddit.
Yeah,
but it's
Reddit
I think is locking down on a lot of stuff. The media is not covering anything.
Why isn't Rachel? Because she would.
Brian, no. Let me say this. Do not rely on journalism. Mainstream journalism is done. It's over. It's history. It's gone. Okay? That's one thing. But the second thing is, and I spent 12 years as a reporter, and one of the things is you need to catch your breath, right? And Trump is giving, or the administration is giving 8 to 9 stories a day that you need to follow. Well, you think about it. I still don't know what the hell happened when they shot at him. Now because there's been 112. They just keep, and that's Steve Bannon, and that's Roy Cohn. Shovel, just throw the shit up and let it go. So I think that's part. But I mean, I would tell anyone, if you want to know what's going on, find another media source, whether it's somebody on Substack, whether it's Medius, whether it is a group like Ryan brought up. That's where you're finding the truth. And Ryan, so the papers, well, you saw what happened. Ruth Marcus, 44 years on the Washington Post. She writes an editorial critical of Bezos. The British editor in charge now, we got a Brit in charge of the Washington Post, spikes it. She walks out the door. David Marinus, one of the best writers they've ever had. Now, David hasn't written for the paper much for a long, long time because he does books. Packed his bag, said, as long as Jeff Bezos is there, I will never, ever write for the Washington Post again. Mm-hmm. And so, and don't think for a moment, we all, MSNBC, have you noticed how many people they're shuffling in and out? Where's Joy Reid?
I'm just, why isn't Scarborough gone? That's what pisses me off. I can understand Joy Reid's numbers were not good, but Scarborough's numbers went right down. Get him off.
Scarborough kissed Trump's ring.
Right, and he should be gone. Because his numbers are down, big time.
But he's not going to go. Why is he not going to go, Brian?
I guess because of the contract. Is it a set contract?
Nope.
I don't know.
It has to. None of the big networks want to attack Trump. They're not going to do that. They're businesses. The idea of thinking.
Then why aren't they getting rid of? I mean, I'm just here. I am playing devil's advocate, though. Why are they not getting rid of Lawrence O'Donnell or Rachel Maddow or Chris Hayes, for that matter?
They can't fire everybody
because those are your three. They are the ones that bring in the numbers. Hayes, O'Donnell, and Maddow. Those three. That's it.
And there you are. Okay. And now you've answered your own question.
But I'm saying
also-
it's not so much Trump as it is the numbers matter. But I can understand why
Well, I mean,
Scarborough's numbers went. Forget about his meeting. I know about the meeting, and it pisses me off. I haven't watched him since, but his numbers went down by at least 50%. I don't know why he's not gone, and Mika can take her ass too. Why aren't they gone?
because that's a conduit to Trump now. They want conduits to Trump. Scarborough's back. Joe was like this at one point with Donald Trump. Then they had their falling out, and now they're back. Paul Krugman. It's anybody who speaks out. Now, the nice thing is, when you get fired, you don't lose your talent, you don't lose your ability, you don't lose your contacts, right?
Get a Substack.
And that's where you that's where you have to look. Now there are some sites we talk about. Let's talk about you got Truth Social, which I lurk on. I've lurked on it for a long time.
Well, the only purpose of that is just to see what Trump's going to.
That's what
an
it's
alternative to that. There's a link that so you don't have to go to Truth Social and give them interactions. There's a link. It's called POTUS Tracker. So on the left, it has Trump's daily schedule.
Write that down, folks.
And on the right, it has his comments on Truth Social, so you don't have to go there anymore and give him stuff.
That's good. I like that. Write that down, folks. POTUS Tracker.
And so the movement has been to Blue Sky. Now, are you on Blue Sky?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know you were on there, Brian. I
haven't done much. It's under Divided We Stand. So you
okay, I'll find it.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, what we all fall for. It's really, people say it's so nice. It's a little boring though. It's all the good guys are on there. We need to get a couple. Get some bad guys, but I mean that's a good place to go. But think about it. Think of all the people you know. It would be hard for them to give up.
Is there a link
Facebook.
that you can throw in the?
And also,
I'm trying to find you on there, but I can't find you.
I think you have a wrench. Don't you have a wrench?
I do. What link do you want me to share?
For the POTUS Tracker?
Oh, POTUS Tracker? Oh, yeah. Hold on. I'll find it. It's in my document.
So, again, look at all these changes. And you've got... So suddenly everybody was watching news, right? I mean, that's... Well, you can't do that anymore, kids.
Can't.
You can't. But you still need to be informed. Now, things like what Ryan just gave you, that's great. Okay, because that does allow you to see the other side without giving them any numbers.
But aren't people, Dave and Ryan, aren't they the change, not only the fact that you're using social media to get your news, but the fact that people can choose the content of the news that they're watching?
Well, of course. All right,
problematic.
Let's think about that. Sunday, entertainment, in 1964, February 9th, 1964. If we had the media the way it's broken up today, would the Beatles be as popular? Because almost half of America watched that because you only had 3 options. Maybe you had a couple UHF channels. So everybody was watching that, and that gave you the water cooler discussion. Think about it. I don't know. Do you guys know? At one point, I think it was like what cables were running. Some cables. Companies were running 400 stations. Mm-hmm. Well, there's no, now, it's, what do you, well, I didn't watch it, so we're really 2 changes. One is the way we get our news and the way we're living, and the other is
the inability to know whether it's true or not. That's,
what though, Brian, I've been thinking about that a lot. I don't know how important that is right now. I just go with Trump bad. Keep it simple.
Right.
What is now? Again,
I understand what you're saying. Yeah. I mean, at some point, that's where you go.
There was I thought a great response to Schumer and what he did, because Trump came out and praised Schumer for his courage and said it was a tough
The day
decision.
before he gave him shit, called him a Palestinian. The next day, he's friends with him.
We know he's transactional, and he's transactional by the minute. But here's the thing. This person replied, and I thought it was a great reply. Well, Chuck, if Trump said you did good, you didn't do good.
You didn't do good, right.
And that's a very simple way to do it. And I think that's a very good way to do it. There is nothing remotely human or redeemable in Donald Trump. If I were a Christian, I would be asking God, how? But of course, the Christian nationalists are very happy with this. And the other thing is, I've been doing some research into some of the extreme right-wing churches, especially the evangelicals. They're very happy. They want this because they're one step closer. They want to get out of this life. They want the nuclear war. They want the climate.
Tell the Russians we can just pick out where the evangelicals live and they can hit them first. Then they can.
Well,
they'll see how it works out after it explodes. They'll be
Brian,
fading to black pretty quickly.
You're missing the point.
All right.
You're looking at it logically. They know they're going to heaven. Think about it. All right. Think about same thing on like with the Muslim. If you thought you were going to get 79 virgins or whatever, I might do what they do too. And if you really believe that, and you say, "Well, I wouldn't believe it." Well, you don't because you don't.
But seriously, Dave, like taking that logic, and I've thought about that before.
Right.
If that were true, that they really, really believe, why not just not put the seatbelt on and let it go?
No,
and say, I got an eternity of heaven.
No.
And all I have to do is take 1 minute of this shit.
That would be defying God's will.
As defined by them, correct?
Of course. What else would there be?
God didn't say you don't have to wear a seatbelt or take medicine, did he?
No, but Robert Kennedy did.
Oh, I forgot, because he's kind of like Jesus 2025. But if you think about it, this gets into the philosophical thing, is that if you look at how they follow these people as though they're true, you can see why so many people thought people were messiahs or Rasputin could do this or that. It's absurd how people think.
Well,
it's goo.
You think, I've always thought this, and I think it's even more now. It really is hard to make moral decisions. Unless you have a constant beacon, right?
Right, but is it hard to make logical decisions? I don't think that's hard.
It is if you don't have logic.
Right, absolutely.
So what I'm saying is, it's easy if you say, if I look at Ryan and say, Ryan is my Jesus. Whatever Ryan says, I will follow. And
to be very careful what I say.
Well, I certainly rather go with you than the guy on the left there, or my left. But the thing is, think about that. If you really, it takes the pressure off, right? Or if you believe that any sin can be forgiven, which
I think even more broad than what you're saying is, like, whenever you have arguments and debates with people, appeal to authority is a way to go. But when your appeal to authority is God and no one can disprove it or go above it or anything like that, then it is a permanent fallback for every time you're losing an argument. And that's the issue. And it's like, you can't, like, I had a hour and a half. I never do this in person. I never do this, but a person I've known at this point most of my life, I had an hour and a half discussion with him. He is MAGA. He is not an in-your-face style kind of MAGA. He's very quiet, very reserved. But I had an hour and a half discussion with him, and it was just like nothing, no progress. There was nothing. Everything I said, like I asked him tons of religious stuff because he wanted to talk about that. I asked him tons of stuff about politics because he shifted into that. And in the end, about religion at least, he said, well, I'm not even saying that you're wrong. Everything that you said is logical and fair, and you might even be right. But I think you just have to have faith. And that was the end of the discussion for him. Yeah. He lost the argument, so he just said that, and it was like, okay, I guess I can't convince you.
You can't see God. Of course, some people think they can. But you certainly can't see faith, because any definition of faith says, almost in spite of logic, I will believe this because I have faith that that's what we have. Now, we would think that I can't think of any less Christian person or duo than Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Yeah. I'll take any two on that. But Then you come around with this, and they come around with this argument, which I find fascinating. But God wants Donald Trump to do what he's doing because he saved him, because he from death, and he's a fighter. And I don't know, Ryan, about the people. You know, I only have a few left on my page, and the majority of them are students, you know, that are Trumpers, but they are so freaking angry. Not at us necessarily, but that's part of it. Just angry at the world. And
They
some
are
of them I know
angry.
they're bad. And they, one did it the other day, and I just smiled. I just laughed. He said, "You people," talking about 2 or 3 of us, we're going into an exchange. "You people, I can't believe you people. You have college degrees, and you still think this." There's a tremendous anti-intellectual feeling out there.
Yeah.
And Northerners feed into that. They do. I've seen it. You know, they think that anybody who kind of does this is stupid as shit. Well, no, they're not. A lot of them are. But so it's a hatred on so many levels, right? Or and I don't know. You know, somebody said earlier, I think it was Veg or somebody. Can we save democracy? I don't know. I'm not real sure. What I'm more concerned about is I don't think we can come together as a country. I would prefer. Yeah, well, look where George is now. I hope he got there because of faith. And Gary's only playing with that, but it was funny.
Okay.
No, but back this
Both of them are funny.
the idea when you were talking about what you were saying, I give you credit. I still think from time to time we should do that, even though it's frustrating as shit. Just from time to time, if the opportunity presents itself, you know. We went out to dinner last night. Here's an interesting thing. He's what, Ralph's now 86, and Susan is 80, and they're both very spry. We were downtown the district, and of course, talking politics. And Ralph believes that the worst person in all this is Joe Biden. And why he believes that is, you know, because Biden didn't step aside, and we get into all that. But I'm thinking, like, that's the past. Who really cares?
Yeah, and how can we even, at this point, you're
We
right.
don't.
Just fuck it. We move on.
If Joe Biden had called me and said, "Dave, what should I do?" This is what I would have told him. Number one, don't say you're not going to pardon your son, because you should pardon your son. That's number one. You protect your family. But number two, come out and make a big announcement and say, "I said I would be a transition president. That's what I'm going to be. So we're going to open it up to a convention or some form of that." But it didn't happen, and now that's meaningless. It's really every day. What do we do now? The education, which of course you're still involved in, Brian, that's been cut in half.
Yeah, we have no idea what's going to happen next year.
The national park at Yellowstone is down to 4 rangers.
Jesus, is that real? You're serious?
Yeah, that's real. That's real.
I mean, I knew they were cutting staff, but I've been to that park, and 4 rangers, they're not even going to be able to prevent poaching.
No, they're not. They're not. Now, what they're going to do is, well, they may get returned. You know what I mean? There's all that. But right now, what's going to happen is that they'll bring in volunteers, if you will, or, you know, summer interns. But that's, I mean, could you imagine trying to mount a rescue?
I think it's crazy. I've been to Yellowstone. I know a lot of people haven't. Yeah. It's massive. That's like saying, you know, 4 people are in charge of, you know, 15 skyscrapers in New York. They have to do all the maintenance. They have to, like, there's no way they can't do it.
No. Well, they're already.
You know who's actually in charge of Yellowstone now? The Bears. That's who's actually in charge.
Did you see? Speaking of which, boy, are you sharp! You're always ahead of the curve. There was a really cute thing. I don't even know what it was. You know, I mean, I saw it on Facebook or somewhere. But anyway, there was a traffic cone down, and the bear went and set it up right because we wanted to see what it was. And they said, U.S. Park Service is now employing bears, all right, to do, because we don't have that, right? And now the other thing I always like to comment on it is, as bad as it is across the country, it is far worse here. Every single worker is terrified. There have been people who've been moved to South Dakota and given 2 days to get there. Now, I wouldn't go just because next week they're going to bring you back. But that, and that's, I guess that's really, and I really think that's going to, in the end, that's going to hurt Trump. And it's Musk, not so much. And both of them. People I think, people kind of they like Trump because they think he's strong. Well, strong people don't change their mind 6 times.
And they think he has common sense because of the way he speaks. They regard simple sentences as common sense.
Well, because they don't have an education.
Right.
And I don't know if you guys saw this too. I thought this was a very interesting statistic. I should have written it down, but I didn't. But another survey came out, and one of the true indications of a Trump voter was Trump versus Harris was how far from your home you have moved. I thought that was interesting. In other words, if you only moved a couple miles, you're still living where you were, right?
Right.
So if you're in Alabama, and again, because they don't have the mobility of college educations necessarily, and so sometimes you are stuck. But Brian, Bridgeton, where the hell, if you can work in healthcare, you can work in the prisons or the jail and the police or education. Now, have you heard anything, Brian, about the effect it will have on Bridgeton? Because at one point, if I remember correctly, Bridgeton only raised, I think, 11% of their budget locally.
Right. You're absolutely right. In fact, I thought it was 7%, but you may be right. But it doesn't matter. Most of our aid is state and federal. I did ask that. I think I asked Mike Bellella that, to be honest with you. He's also a member of the Body Stand, but I think it was him, or maybe it was Steve DePatrick, who mentioned that he didn't think that would affect Bridgeton. For whatever reason, he didn't think that it would affect. And I forget what they said. If I have a minute, I can probably remember, but
no. But and again,
I think they're saying there's too many students here, or something like that. There's so many students here that you've got to educate them. Now, how do you go about doing that? Where are you going to put them?
Well, but what? If
and I don't know. Maybe you're right, because I'm worried. I mean,
what I'm saying, Brian. What I'm saying is, look at the people making the decision. They don't care, and everyone. I'm not a violent person by nature, but every one of those Dogie boys I've seen, they really deserve to be punched in the nose just to kind of wake them up.
I have all their emails. You want their emails?
Well, yeah, sure. No, I don't
literally, I have all their emails. You can
yeah. Well, you know what? And see, Brian, that's something else. Okay. Today, we'll be interested tomorrow. Today, we'll send the postcards to the President Day. There's some very interesting postcards going. Now you say, well, he'll ignore it. I don't think he can ignore anything. I mean, I just think it's going to get him. I mean, when you go to the Department of Justice and talk about, using this department to fight your enemies, a lot of applause, but wait until one of those is one of the people and I think people are going to move. Now, whether it'll be enough, whether it'll be soon enough, I don't know. I've been thinking. People keep saying, "Well, how are you going to divide up the country?" I'm going to take it from Maine, and Maine to. I'd like to get it here to Virginia, but I don't know if we could. And then on the West Coast, take California, Oregon, and Washington. They can have the rest.
By the way, before we go, gentlemen, we've seen an increase in tornadic activity in the South, more than usual, and I'm just wondering before we go. That could be a really dangerous occurrence this spring, and we know that that's almost like having hurricanes, because there's already were something like 36 deaths or something like that.
Right.
So we look at maybe the response of the government, the lack of response, but yet Trump does want to help Republican states. So where do you think this goes when you start having these vicious storms in April?
I think he's going to help Republican states and not help Democrat states.
So hopefully the Democrats in these Republican, or maybe swing states, he will, because maybe he's afraid that if he doesn't.
I think he cheated. So I think the swing state places that I don't know. We'll see.
I'm starting to believe you. I think we need to have a show eventually, gentlemen, on exactly what you're talking about, so we can go into it a little bit deeper, and especially Ryan, you seem to have the information, but we do at least have.
If you want to do
Site.
that, I need to prepare for it because
Oh,
I'm
absolutely.
not a math guy. But
Yeah.
I can prepare for it and look at the. I'm just going to look at the Election Truth Alliance website and internalize as much as I can.
Because this is maybe something that Divided We Stand, as a small, underperforming social group, can have some.
Okay.
Oh
movement.
yeah, if we all gave him $50. It helped.
Oh, wait a minute, Brian. Wait a minute. You're talking about doing a logical thing that would impact. I'm going to tell you what would really.
No,
You don't understand what runs America.
Here's Gary.
Stand up right now. Stand up right now and take your shirt off, and then drop
And
your
go,
drawers.
woo!
and just wait. Yeah, and just that would get us more views. I'm telling
Okay.
you, just don't understand how to run
Dave,
this.
there's a lot of things we get us a lot more views. Okay. So anyway, listen, I do have to go, and we're having a storm right now. I knew it was going to come right around, but luckily it came at the end of the show. So all right, so we'll see everybody at the same time next Sunday.
I'm going to abuse my privilege. Go ahead,
I was
Brian.
going to say, I may or may not be available next Sunday because I have a really big Saturday commitment, but I will try my best to be available.
All right.
So just
All right.
communicate with
Dave?
me. I'll let you know.
And I'm going to use this. Like when you get a chance, Ryan, this week, give me a call. You have my number, right?
I'll call you tomorrow.
Yeah, whenever. I mean,
I would certainly love to have a show on what you're talking about, because there's something about that makes me believe that there's something to
Well,
that.
the part that, like, I'm not a conspiracy guy at all.
Right.
I
None
don't
of us
like
are.
conspiracy
No,
theories.
none of us. All three.
But the guy is presenting evidence, and he is saying, "Bring me to court over this evidence." That's what he's
And
saying.
what-
He's like, "I am not afraid."
He's not
to
like
defend-"
Lindell. He's trying to.
Correct. He
No,
is
no, no, no.
providing evidence,
And-
and he is saying, "Let's go to court and prove it." That's what
And-
he wants to do.
my,
He's not
Michael-
afraid of it, and I think that's a powerful statement.
and
If you
Michael,
do see anything, Ryan, before then, like any type of smart, you can post them to. Well, you're not on Facebook. We can't do
I'll
that.
send it to you.
Send it
if
to
I
me.
see it.
Send it to
Yeah, I'll
me.
send it to you.
Okay. Because this bothers the fuck out of me, actually. And this is where
Thank you,
I'm not a
Veg.
conspiracy guy, but I certainly believe there's no conspiracy to think
Well,
that Trump would cheat.
It
Okay.
makes sense.
Well,
to
both
make a
of
big
them.
deal about cheating and election voting machines, and then it turns out that you're actually cheating using vote counting machines instead of the other one. Like, a lot of it makes sense. Like, it's hey, look at this bright shiny light while you're doing stuff with the other hand. over here.
and
It makes
help
sense.
me as you're looking at that. Somebody told me, so I'm just throwing it out there, that there were a number of what was it, like bomb scares and things called in, which could have affected some things too.
Yeah, it was
Now,
like 200 bomb scares across the country.
which doesn't necessarily mean anything other than, oh yeah, wait a minute, put that. Look, there's one Man in Black, Brian. Oh, you're practicing for Pope next? Should be an opening there pretty soon.
What is that thing with the Pope with this? He's just. I'd like to hit you over the head with it, Dave. Like,
Did you see?
How about the
we
water
got to
thing?
end this show. But again, I saw
Yeah,
the
it's
strangest
holy
things.
water.
Did you see where he attacked a woman?
who, the Pope?
Yeah, he was. Again, I don't know if it was made up or not. It looked,
Shit,
he was
80 years without sex, you got to do something,
Well,
right?
no. He was
Jesus
going
Christ.
the line, shaking hands, right?
Okay.
And she grabbed onto him, and she wouldn't let go.
Oh,
And he's
geez.
like-
Hot date for the Pope.
and the Pope was going, and
What would you call their son, Pope Jr. or something like that? I don't know.
I know it wasn't sexual, but it was just. I mean, what she wanted was she was so excited, but he didn't want any part of that. So, on that note,
That's what he said.
Bye.
Okay. All right, gentlemen. It was a very funny show, actually. And thank you to all the people out in the audience. That's wonderful. And if you, by the way, if you're in the audience and we don't know who you are, thank you also. But please make sure you subscribe. We can use every subscriber we have, and please share. We want to get somewhere with this. We're not looking for any money. We're not making a pay. We only lose. We lose money, and we don't want your money. We will continue losing our money on this. But we're not worried because it's time. It's inflection point time. All right. Das vidanya, everybody.